Hello. Yes. We're here. We're ready for splits. Yay! It's a bit gloomy outside. It's a little bit grey, but we're working with it. We're going to be doing a little bit of jumping, not loads, and it's going to be threaded through the flow. So we'll hopefully bring the body temperature up and really warm up the legs. Yes, I'm so ready as well. I'm so excited. So if you don't already, grab yourself a ball. I do have a massage ball, but you can use a tennis ball or a foam roller is probably the best. If you have a foam roller, that's great. Good morning. We're gonna start with some rolling actually before we get into the flow. So grab your ball or your roller, and we'll start right underneath the calves. So if you have a roller, you'll be rolling backwards and forwards. I'm just kind of moving my calf around the ball, so it's really kind of as fits you, so however you want to roll with it, and move up. Mine keeps slipping away. Move up the calf so you get right up to the top of the calf muscle, just underneath the knee. And just roll it back down. So again, if you're on a foam roller, you'll be moving up and down, backwards and forwards, but we're focusing on the calf for now. And then we'll move over to the other leg. So just starting with the lower calf, really close to the foot. You've got to warm up the whole leg. You don't want to miss any bits out. And then move the ball up higher to your mid-calf. And however you want to roll, however feels good, just start connecting with all the muscles in your legs and the backs of your legs, because these are the ones that are going to get really, really stretched today, really worked today. Then moving the ball right up. Maybe if I turn to the side you can see a bit better. I've got the ball right just underneath my knee. I'm just rolling there. Nice, nice. Ooh, I feel really tense, like right just next to my knee. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not rolling underneath the knee. Now let's move to the hamstrings. So starting at the bottom, if you're on a foam roller, you'll be moving up and down. But if you're on a ball, just side to side, underneath the lower hamstring. Hello. And then moving the ball up to the mid hamstring, and just kind of go with the flow here. Do what feels good. Probably looks very strange to anyone watching from the outside, but if you're using a ball, if you're even using, I've used a golf ball before to massage, and you can get really, really deep. You actually want to be a bit careful with how deep you go, especially if you have quite a high pain tolerance. Just go easy. And then I'm, last but not least, moving the ball right up to my hamstring attachment. And I actually have an old injury in my hamstring attachment, so I can feel quite a lot of scar tissue there. It's not painful, I just feel kind of like knots and bumps, and I just want to roll into the hamstring attachment, make sure it's nice and loose. Couple more breaths here. Great, and we'll move on to the other hamstring. So starting low, just rocking about, or if you're on your foam roller, rocking up and down. Bringing attention to the muscles there. Nice deep breaths. My ball keeps sliding away. Then moving the ball up to the mid hamstring, or the foam roller right up. And then last but not least, up to the attachment. So really, the attachment is exactly what it says on the tin. It's the fascia and the connective tissue that attach your hamstrings to your glutes. And these are really important when you're doing splits work. You don't want to overstretch them. You want to make sure they're warm, because I kid you not, if you injure your hamstring attachment, it takes a long time to recover. I've been there. So next, we actually want to go on to the glutes. So if you've got a foam roller, sit on your foam roller and just roll backwards and forwards. So you can see from the side angle, I'm literally rolling on my butt cheek. It's really intense, and I'm just moving around to the side, getting nice and deep inside there. Ooh, it's really tense on my left side. So yeah, just rolling around, preparing the whole lower body. And if you're doing this, if you're rolling on your own at home, really take your time with it. I've got quite a lot I'm trying to fit in today, so I'm kind of cutting my rolling short, but I'd usually roll for about 15 to 20 minutes even, if I'm stretching splits. Take it out and go to the other side, underneath. You can kind of open your hip out to the side and lean into it. Just find the points that feel stuck, that feel stagnant, and try and get the energy moving there. And now last but not least, this is probably going to be a bit hard to see, but we're going to roll on our lower back. So really focusing on the lower back, right just above the glute muscles. So I'm going to lie back, place the ball underneath my lower back or on your foam roller. I like to lift my arms up above my head and get a bit of a stretch here. I'm just rolling side to side, taking turns one side and then the next side. Nice deep breaths. And then something I like to do from here is extend one leg out, place the ball kind of underneath the hip and roll the ball into kind of around the sides of the hips. Oh, and I really feel this down my IT band when I do this. You just want to make sure all the muscles there are nice and loose. And let's take it onto the other side, underneath the hip. And these are very small movements here. Nice gentle movements, rolling around. Ooh. And then finally, before we get into the yoga, we're going to lie on our front and place the ball or the foam roller underneath the hip flexor and roll over the hip flexor, which can be really intense for some people, especially if you do a lot of walking, if you do a lot of cycling, if you lift weights, if you do a lot of squats, that kind of stuff, or even if you just sit down all day for your job, the hip flexors can get very tight and contracted. So finished this side, I'm going to go on to the other side, and we're nearly done with our rolling. Nice. Last little bit of rolling, last deep breath in. And we're actually going to come into a little very quick meditation before we get moving and flowing and jumping around. So you can put your foam roller, your ball to one side. I want you to lie down on your back, take the soles of the feet together and just lie back. So you can see me from the side, like this. So lie back in this supine butterfly pose, and before we start moving, just let gravity do the work to open up the hips a little bit. And as you're lying here, I want you to deepen your breath, and I want you to imagine, visualize sending your breath down into the hamstrings and down into the lower body. So as you inhale, literally visualize the inhale flooding the hamstrings, flooding the quads and flooding the legs. And this is going to really help bring blood flow to that area of the body when we start moving. And whilst you're here deepening the breath, I'll just tell you a little story about splits pose in yoga and what it means. So in yoga, splits pose is named after the monkey god Hanuman. It's called Hanuman Asana, literally Hanuman pose. And the splits, so when we have one leg forward and one leg back in that way, it represents in the Ramayana, which is an ancient Indian epic. In the Ramayana, Hanuman took a giant leap from India to Sri Lanka. So the splits pose represents the big leap that he took all the way from India to Sri Lanka. So what does the splits pose represent? Well, it represents strength, it represents courage, it represents risk-taking, this huge leap that he took from one part of the world to the other. So in order to do splits, we need to embody strength, we need to embody courage, but we also need to know our own capabilities, because it is quite a risky pose. It's very intense. It's a very deep stretch, so we need to be fully embodied in our own strength. So let's just take a couple more breaths lying back here in our supine butterfly pose. Inhale, exhale, last breath, inhale, exhale. Nice, draw the knees together, and you might just want to take a few knee circles here. So placing the hands on the knees, roll the knees away from each other and then back together. And we're starting to open up into these hip joints, getting them nice and loose. And then bring the knees in the other direction. Great. Bring the knees together, roll onto one side, and slowly bring yourself up into seated. We're going to come to stand to do some sun salutations to get the body warm. So roll forwards, take a little crouching position and just massage the weight back into the feet. And then we'll drop the heels, hang over the legs, keep them bent for now. Hang down, release the spine, and then roll up the spine, tucking the tailbone, stacking the vertebrae, coming all the way to stand. I'm moving back so you can see me, but step at the top of your mat, feet hip width apart, lift all your toes, spread them really wide, and then ground them down into the mat. We're going to inhale, lift the arms up, look towards the thumbs. Exhale, fold forwards. If you need to keep the knees soft for these first few, keep them soft. Inhale, look forwards. Exhale, step back, find your plank, and then we'll drop the knees, untuck the toes, and come all the way down. Inhale, lift the chest, hover the hands, replace them. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, rising up, all fours, tuck the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. In your downward dog, bend one knee at a time. Move the hips from side to side. Start to feel fluid. Start to feel open, particularly through the lower body. Sending the breath to the backs of the legs. Inhale, look forward, step between the hands, exhale, fold. Inhale, big sweep with the arms all the way up. Exhale, arms come down. Inhale, rise again. Exhale, fold forward. Start to think about straightening the legs gently. Inhale, look forwards. Exhale, step back, find your plank, and if we're feeling super strong, keep the knees lifted, lower all the way down. Interlock the hands behind the back. Lift the chest, the head is in neutral, so we're looking down, slightly ahead of us, palms together, hands under the shoulders, press back, child's pose, rise up, all fours, tuck the toes, downward dog, and breathe. And again, you can bend one knee at a time here, releasing. Inhaling, lifting the gaze, looking forward, stepping between the hands. Exhale, folding over the legs. Inhale, rise. Exhale, arms come down. We'll keep turning up the heat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, lift the gaze, look forwards. Exhale, jump or step back. Find your plank. Either lower the knees or come down for a full chaturanga. Inhale, lifting up into upward dog. If not upward dog, then stay low in a cobra. In cobra, our lower body is on the floor. In upward dog, our legs are lifting. Exhaling over the toes, downward dog. And breathe. Inhale, lift the gaze, look forwards, jump or step between the hands. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, rise. Exhale, arms come down. Inhale, bend the knees, brush the fingertips. We're in a nice deep chair here. Look down, make sure you can see your big toes. Make sure your abdomen is engaged. We're really giving the legs a chance to warm up. Exhale, fold. See how much we can straighten our legs now. Inhale, lift the gaze, look forwards. Exhale, jump or step back. Plank, chaturanga, maybe with the knees down. Inhale, rise, find a back bend. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, we'll lift the right leg and we're going to stay here for a few breaths. Keep the hips on the same level. So we're not opening, we're keeping the hips down, flexing the back foot and lifting the leg as high as we can. And we'll breathe for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draw the knee through the center, step the foot through. Lower the back knee down, untuck the back toes. Brace the hands on the front knee and we start to open, we start to sink. So sink as deep as you feel comfortable here. And breathe. Check in with the hips, make sure they're aligning forwards. Nice. Take the hands down either side of the front foot. Start to straighten the front leg, keeping the torso close to the front leg. Flex the foot to go deeper. Keep it relaxed if you don't want to go as deep. And So I turn to the side. My bum is not down on my back heel, not just yet. Loosening up, hips aligned. Great, walk the weight forwards, ground the weight down into the front foot, tuck the back toes, lift up and back, downward dog for the second side. Inhaling, lifting the left leg this time, but we keep the hips on the same level. So the leg is not lifting as high as it can, the foot is flexing. We stay here and we breathe for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draw the knee through, step it down, back knee down, crescent lunge. Untuck the back toes, brace the hands on the front knee, and breathe into the front of the hip, the front of the quad, and sink. If it helps you to take little pulses, if that feels like you can get deeper, then take little pulses. Great, ground the hands down, start to straighten that front leg, bringing the hips back towards the back heel, but not all the way down, flexing the front foot, and we breathe. Nice, walking the weight forwards, we're going to tuck the back toes, lift up and back into downward dog, and take some classic yoga poses. So, starting with warrior 1, inhale, lift the right leg, keep it on the same level, keep that leg really engaged. Exhale, step the foot forwards and ground the back heel down. Rise up, warrior 1. The front knee is bending, but the hips are tracking forwards. So if you had car headlights on your hip bones, they'd both face forwards. Arms up, look up, ground the back heel down. We'll stay here for 1, for 2, for 3, for 4, and 5. Arms come down, frame the front foot, step straight back, downward dog, second side. Inhaling, lifting left leg, keep the hips on the same level. Exhale, step the foot forwards, ground the back heel down, and rise up, warrior 1, hips face forwards. Front knee bending, arms lifting, core engaged for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lower down, hands frame the front foot, step back, downward dog. Lift the gaze, look forwards, jump or step between the hands. Now, here's where it gets fun. We're going to do some squats with the feet facing forwards. So come up to stand. We're going to squat down as far as we can go and lift. We'll do 10 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, go as low as you can, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Nice. Roll the knee out a few times, one direction and then the other direction. You can take your arms out for balance. Second side. And the other way. Feet back in parallel. We're going to do some jump squats. 10. So, jumping up, coming down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Go as low as you can. 10. Great. Shake it out. feet in parallel. Inhale, lift the arms, exhale, fold forwards. We're going to stay here in the forward fold. Knees bent if you need to, or take your hands behind your legs, or even slide the hands underneath the feet. Try and lengthen the spine. If you need more here, lifting the heels up, engaging. Wherever you're at, take 2 deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. Last breath, inhale, exhale. Soften the knees, place the hands onto the mat and step back into downward dog. We're going for warrior 2, starting with the right side. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step the right foot forwards. Now for warrior 2, we ground the back heel down, cartwheel the arms up and the hips turn to the side. Gazing off over that right hand, sink into the right knee. Sink as deep as you can. Oh, my mat is so slippy, I'm going to go onto the grass. And we'll stay here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The sun's come out. Cartwheel the arms down, pick the back heel up off the floor, drop the back knee and come into lizard pose. So for lizard pose, our hands are on the inside of this front leg, it's hugging in. If we want to go deeper, elbows to the floor. This is really going to prepare you for your Hanuman. Make sure that knee isn't winging out to the side, pull it in. And we're just going to breathe. We're just going to rest here and breathe. For 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Come up onto the hands if you're down on your elbows. We've got the second side for those warriors. So tuck the back toes. We're going to lift up and back into downward dog. Second side. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step the left foot forwards, ground the right heel down. I might have to come off my mat again because it's so slippy. Inhale, lift the arms, warrior 2. Yeah, it's way too slippy, so let's go into warrior 2, left side. Sinking down into that front knee. The hips are turning to the side. Gaze off into battle, strong warrior. For 2. For 3, cartwheel the arms down and we find lizard on the left side, dropping the back knee down. Adjust my mat. Dropping the back knee down, we're either up on the hands or coming down onto the elbows, if that feels good. And now I'm really hot. I was cold when we started this. Now the sun is so bright. It's good. The more warm you are, the more looser and the more you'll be able to open into your body. We're going to do more jumping. We've got more jumping next. Couple more breaths here. You can shift side to side if that feels good. Make sure this knee is hugging in. Come up onto the hands if you are down. Tuck the back toes, lift up and back to downward dog. Now, jump forwards into yogic squat, so toes pointing out to each side, hands at heart center. The next little round of jumping we're going to do, which is going to really prepare us, is a really fun combination. They're called, I think, surfer jumps. And we're going to go surfer jump, each side to some leg lifts. So I'll show you what I mean. So we start in standing, we're to the side of our mat. Surfer jump, which is a squat, and you can touch down with the hand. Surfer jump, second side, and then from here, lift the leg, squat, lift the leg, squat. So you can see what that looks like from the middle. I'm lifting and lifting. And what I'm trying to do is engage the muscles at the hip flexors and the side of the hips. And that's just going to really strengthen our hips for when we sit in our splits. It's going to make sure that we're engaged. So we're going to do, let's do, did I say 4 or 6? Let's do 6 of those. So we're here, surfer, surfer, lift, lift, that's 1. Surfer, surfer, lift, lift, that's 2. Surfer, surfer, lift, lift, that's 3. Surfer, surfer, lift, lift, 4. Surfer, surfer, lift, lift, that's 5. Surfer, surfer, lift, and lift. And stand up, shake it out. Shake out your legs. And we're going to go into some wide leg split stretches. So take your feet along the mat, toes pointing forwards or slightly in, and hang here. Let the head drop. Let the head be heavy. Sway side to side. Knees bent. If this is too much for your hamstrings, keep your knees bent and just be long in the spine. Slowly working on straightening the legs. Deep breaths. Connect with the back of your legs. And then we're going to start moving, bending one knee at a time, reaching to the opposite side. So bend and reach, bend and reach. We're loosening into the hips here. We're doing a bit of center split, box split preparation. And then come to one side, drop all the way down. So you're in this like martial arts stretch here. So one foot is lengthening. You can flex that foot, the other knee is bent. If our hips are tight, we might be up on the heel, hands down. Arms can separate, reach up. Walk the hands through the middle to come to the other side, bending into the other knee, maybe lifting that heel if you need to, stretching the opposite leg, maybe taking the arms wide. We're going to do one more time each side. If you really want to challenge, take your arms out in front of you as you transition. So arms out through a squat and down. Try and keep your hips as low as possible. Open the arms. Second side, arms forwards, down and open. Great, walk back into that wide-legged forward fold. We're going to go into some frog stretch. I don't know what the name for this pose is in yoga, but you're bringing your knees down. You want your calves to be at a right angle with your thighs. You're bringing your forearms down, and then you want to try and press the hips back and down. And we're just going to stay here and breathe. Well, you're going to stay there and breathe. I'm going to check my plan for the day, see what more we've got to do. So just stay in your frog pose. Try and move your hips back towards your heels and visualize your breath flooding the backs of your legs. So, great. Nice deep breaths. If you want to make it into a bit of a back bend stretch as well, come up onto your hands and press the hips back as you rise up onto your hands. slowly coming out of this pose. Bring the toes together. Bring the knees slightly closer together. Don't go all at once, bit by bit. Knees together. Sit back. Feel your pelvis reconnecting. Knees together and sit back. Just take a breath. And then we'll bring our hands towards the front of the mat. And we're going to lift up into downward dog. We're going to go into a three-legged dog with an open hip this time. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. Inhale, lift your right leg, and this time you do get to open the hips. So open the hips to the side, lift your leg as high as you can, maybe even bend the knee. You can even come down on one elbow. I know we've got some intense yogis out there who do contortion as well. I see you. So just stretch. Feel this opening. Exhale, step the foot forwards, ground the back heel down. Keep the front leg straight, cartwheel the arms up. I'm coming off my mat. We're going into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Reaching forwards as much as you can, legs are straight. Front arm comes down so you can see from the side. I'm like this. If it's too much to come down, hand onto the thigh. We're lifting the gaze up, we're spinning the hips open. This is going to really, really work on the hamstrings. Deep breaths. Exhale, turn to look towards your front foot. Soften the front knee and hop the back leg in slightly. Straighten both your legs and fold over the front leg in intense side stretch. So you can see from the side, my legs are not very far apart from one another. They're pretty close, and I'm working on having a straight spine. I'm trying to find a connection with my stomach down to my thigh first, then my chest, and then my chin. Few breaths here. Soften into that front knee. We'll step straight back into downward dog. Second side. Inhale, lift the left leg. Turn the hips. Bend the knee, or keep the leg straight if you want, but we're opening up this time. Maybe even come down to the opposite elbow and breathe. Exhale, drive the foot forward, step it down, drop the back heel, both legs straight, cartwheel the arms up, and then lean forwards and down to find your Trikonasana. Ooh, try not to fall over. Trikonasana on the second side. If it's too much to have the hand on the foot, place the hand on the leg, spin the hip open. Nice. And then turning to look forwards. Hop that back leg in, turn the hips forwards, and find your intense side stretch. There's lots of ants on my mat. Great. Step it back into plank. Drop the knees for a moment. Keep the toes tucked under and sit back on the heels. We're going to do one last little round of jumping, and then we are going to sit into our splits, whatever that means for you. So you might be able to have a full split. Maybe you're raised off the ground. If you have blocks or books you can prop under your hands, you could use those. But yeah, we'll do a little bit more jumping, tiny bit more. And then we'll sit in our splits and we'll see what happens. And we're gonna sit in splits for a good couple of minutes to really break into the muscle. So find your plank, and we're going to do mountain climbers. So mountain climbers, we're either bringing the knees into the chest or you're tapping the foot down on the mat. The second option is slightly harder. We're going to do 30 of these. Let's go. Pick your version and we'll go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And push back. Downward dog. Should be feeling really warm by now. Let's get ready for that Hanuman pose. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step it forwards. Drop the back knee. And now find your split. So your split could be here. This could be a split for you. We slowly lengthen the front leg out and you sit wherever feels, I don't want to say comfortable, because when you're working on flexibility, you want to find that edge which hovers between comfort and discomfort. You want to find somewhere that you can stay for a good couple minutes. I'm watching the clock. There's a clock behind the phone. And we're going to stay here for a couple minutes. Now, just breathe. Just sit and just breathe and try and bring your hips forwards. And try and find a place of peace, a place of balance. We can be up on the hands. And we just sit and we just stay. You can come down if you want a little bit of variation. If you have splits, because I know there are people doing the class who definitely have splits. If you want to take it into over splits, I don't have any blocks with me, but if you want to put some blocks or some books underneath your front leg to lift it up, then by all means, be my guest. But this is just the nitty-gritty part of flexibility, of opening the body. There comes a point where you just got to sit in it, you just got to stay and just enjoy the sensations running through the body. Nice deep breaths. If you're comfortable in your split, you can take your arms up to the sky. Maybe even take a little heart opener, a little back bend here. Exhaling, releasing the hands down. Start to lift onto all fours. Before you bring that foot down, roll the knee around a few times. Let the blood come back. Now, if you are practicing splits or you're practicing flexibility on your own and you're doing a stretch on 2 different sides, do your stiffer side first and hold it for longer. So hold your stiffer side for around 1 to 2 to even 3 minutes longer than your less flexible side. Right, I'm ready for the other side. Let's go through downward dog. Tuck the toes, lift up and back. Inhale, lifting the left leg. Exhale, step that left foot through. Drop the back knee and find your split on the left side. So it could be here, could be here, could be here, could be sliding all the way down. And we stay, we breathe. And I really recommend, if you're in poses that feel really intense for you, that feel very painful, try not to distract yourself from the pain. Try not to run away from it, but actually go into the pain and sit with it and feel all the sensations in your body. Feel your muscles recalibrating, readjusting. Feel your body opening. You know, returning to the fable that I told at the beginning of the class about the monkey god Hanuman. So for those who joined late, the splits, when one leg is forward and one leg is back, represents the monkey god Hanuman in the Ramayana, which is an ancient Indian epic. In the Ramayana, he leapt from India to Sri Lanka in one leap. And that's what this pose represents. It represents him jumping and leaping. So think about what that means. It means strength, it means courage, which is scary, which is painful. All transformation is painful, but that's okay. We don't need to run from it. Take a few more breaths here. And again, if you want to lift your arms up, if you're comfortable, we can lift. We can maybe take a heart opener. And we'll ease ourselves out, bringing the weight back onto the back knee. Come into all fours. And we'll roll. Roll the knee around one direction. And then in the other direction as well. Great. Now, before we bring this flow to a close, we're going to stretch middle splits, tuck the toes, lift up and back into downward dog. Inhale, lift or it doesn't matter which leg. Let's lift our left leg. Exhale, step it forwards. Turn to the side of the mat. Point the toes out and rise up into, it's kind of like a plie if you do dance, or it's called horse stance. You want to have a nice straight spine. We're sinking down into the knees. We're going to take the hands onto the knees. We're going to drop one knee into the middle, look over the opposite shoulder, back through center into the other side, back through center and drop the shoulder, back through center, drop the shoulder. I'll turn this way. We're gonna lift one toe at a time. You can't really see my toes. Maybe this way is better. Yeah, but and lift, and lift. And lift, and lift, and lift, and lift. Both toes at the same time. Lift, 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 lift. Sink down. Straighten the legs. Turn the toes forwards. Fold forwards. Shake a little bit from side to side. And then point the toes out. Sink the hips, find your yogic squat. Invitation here, little challenge, is to extend the arms, tuck the tailbone and gently place the hips down onto the mat underneath you. No bumps, no knocks. And we'll go into our straddle stretch. So bring the legs out to the side as wide as they can comfortably go. We'll start with some little circular movements. So just leaning forwards, trying to keep the back nice and straight, rolling around. And then rolling in the other direction. Back through center. Inhale, maybe I'll turn this way for this one. Lift one arm up, thread the other arm down, and we reach over to the side, open the chest up, and if you're super bendy, you can come all the way down. Hand is on the foot. I really can't figure out which angle is best today. This way. Nice. If you're not quite here yet, just hover with the arm reaching forwards. Inhale, rise, second side. Thread it under and stretch. And lift the chest, open. Inhale, rise, and we're coming down into our pancake stretch. So walk the hands forwards, lengthen, and you're thinking about keeping the knees pointing up. You want to bring your stomach down first, then your chest, then your chin, and you want to have a nice straight back here. So we're just going to chill out. We're just going to chill out here for a good few breaths. Again, just sit with the discomfort, sit with the pain. If it's too much for you to fold forwards, with the arms forwards. You can take your hands behind your hips, pull the shoulders back, and work on hinging forwards. And we'll stay here for a nice few deep breaths. Now, if this is your limit, stay here. If you are super bendy, as I know some of you are, we can roll forwards into like a full box split. And that way my knees can roll forwards and I'm opening my pelvis down to the ground. Again, if straddle is your limit, if you're still working on here, stay here. We have a few more breaths here. If you're working on rolling from front split to straddle to front split on the other side, have a go. Only if you have super open hips. And this, for those of us who aren't there yet, this is just to give you some idea of where this can go. You can roll into your front split, roll back to the middle, to the other side, roll. And this way, we loosen up the hips and we work on that rotation. And roll. And roll. And roll. Nice. If we're in our straddle, we're in our pancake, gently walk ourselves back up. And we're going to gently, consciously, mindfully bring the legs back together. Give them a shake. Give the quads a little massage. They've really worked hard today. And we'll go into a very classic forward fold just to kind of bring the legs all back together. So flexing the feet, inhale, lift the arms, exhale, fold forwards. Maybe trying to bind around the outside of the feet. If that's not available, holding onto the outside of the feet. Or if that's not available, hands by the hips behind you, reaching the crown of the head forwards. And breathe. Try and get a sense of your spine elongating as you're sitting in this forward fold. So you want to think about space coming in between your vertebral discs, and you want to think about a connection of the stomach down to the thighs first, then the chest, then the chin. Always the order in forward folds. And because we're doing things a little bit differently today, we can maybe even point the feet here. I have tried to combine circus, gymnastics and calisthenics with yoga in this class to make it a bit more mobility focused, I guess, but still trying to keep the real essence of yoga, which is a connection with mind and body. A couple more breaths here. Nice deep breaths. And we're going to come to lie on our back for a final few hamstring stretches on our back before Shavasana. So rolling down through our spine, reaching the arms forwards, melting the spine down like honey dripping from a spoon. Once we're back here, you can prop one foot on the floor and I'll turn to the side, lift the other leg up into a classic hamstring stretch, resting here. if you are feeling really nice and warm, extend that other leg down and just pull the leg in towards you. Again, thinking of the connection of the front of the thigh into the stomach. You can either flex or point your foot, it's really up to you. Deepening the stretch. And I just like to move my hand along the part of my body that I'm stretching. So I like to move my hand along the back of the hamstring and the back of the calf, just to keep a connection with that part of the body and to remind myself to be kind to my body, to show it love, and to know that change and transformation can only truly come from a place of acceptance and love. And that's what yoga is all about. Last breath here. Exhale, release, and we'll go to the second side. So you can start with that opposite foot down, pulling the leg in, or you can extend that leg all the way down, either flexing or pointing the foot. The sun is really blinding me right now. And then just pull that leg in towards you. Exhaling, releasing the leg, and find yourself in a full Shavasana. So for Shavasana, our legs come to the width of the mat, let the feet fall out to the side. Lie back, arms slightly away from the torso, palms shining up in a gesture of receiving from your practice. I'm going to sit up because otherwise I'll get too spaced out and I will not fall asleep, but I'll go onto the astral plane. No one wants the teacher accessing the astral plane when they're trying to teach. So just lie back in your Shavasana and have a sense of your bones becoming heavy and your muscles softening away from the bone. And just sense the feelings arising in your body, particularly in the lower body, which we've worked so hard on today. So sense if your hamstrings feel any different, if your quads feel any different, if the hips feel more open. Hopefully they do. Slowly start to bring some deeper breaths down into the center of the body. And I'm going to actually leave you in your Shavasana because I'm nearly going over. I haven't got much left of the live session. But just make sure when you come out of this supine pose, you come out really nice and slow by rolling onto one side and then bringing yourself up into seated. But you can stay in your Shavasana, you can stay in your meditation pose for as long as you like. And I am sending you love and light and positive energy. I hope you've enjoyed this session. And yeah, I'm doing another live session tomorrow at 11 a.m. Thank you so much. This is a free class, but if you are able to donate, my PayPal link is on my bio. Yeah, have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the sun now that it's come out. Bye guys, thank you so much.